Welcome to the Sutherland Report. Thank you so much for giving me the privilege of your time. And I'm rather excited about this because I'm going to go in a completely different direction that I've never been, and a direction that is so important because it's something individually that we need to take responsibility for. So I'm going to bring on a new contact of mine through a dear friend. I'm going to bring on John, and I'm not going to pronounce his surname. I'm going to ask us to do it because suddenly I'm realizing I need to get it right and I don't want to get it wrong. So John, please excuse me, and then and then I'm going to get you on right now. John,
Right.
I do apologize. Can you, how do we pronounce your surname, sir?
Well, for me, it's easy. It's Schwireb. But,
Right.
I grew up in Canada, and I always knew that if I was in the dentist or the doctor's office, I always knew they wanted me because they would come out and they would say, "It's John." And that's me. It's very
I,
difficult. It's a difficult name to pronounce, but
I,
it's
I
Maltese and it's
Brilliant. And I do apologize. And John, thank you so much for joining me because we are going to discuss health. We're going to discuss wellness because that is your thing and has been your thing for many years. Can I start off by asking the question, brought up in Canada, Maltese, now in Malta, and you're now in Malta. So how did you arrive in Malta? Why are you there?
yeah. That's a question. That's a question everyone asks me. Actually, I mean, coming from a huge country to a very small island. Well, I started my business in 1986, and my business is all about uh, empowering people to uh, be their best self and to expand their boundaries and find their limits. And in Canada, it was doing fantastic. And I also took it to California, the States, and throughout the States and stuff. But I do have family in Malta, and I would listen to them and the things that they would say to me. Um, I remember my aunt once saying, we don't like anyone standing near the fridge too much because they'll catch a cold, and I thought, what? And it was a little bit odd. And I kind of realized, just by, conversations that they didn't really have an understanding of health and wellness at all. And so, in 2009, I came here for the first time to see, and amazing place. But not a lot of representation when it came to health, wellness, the understanding of it, the understanding of mental health, the understanding of empowerment, and these words were kind of foreign. So I started to make a few contacts to see if there was any chance that people might be interested in listening to me, have conversations or do what I do best, which is seminars. And I found somebody on the ground here who, in my absence, when I went back home, decided to do a little bit of promoting. And ultimately, I came back in 2010 to do a seminar, and we ended up getting about 400 people to the seminar. And then I started sharing my principles and my philosophy and my system. And to be honest with you, it exploded. It took off. I think for people here, they looked at me as an American because maybe I sound a bit American. I don't know, but they saw me as an American with some knowledge that they had never heard. It was new, and because the country itself was not a healthy country, they took to me like white on rice. And ultimately, it became so powerful and so successful that I moved here. I went home, I moved here, spent about 8 years on TV, sharing my knowledge and my information to the point where everyone and their dog today are trainers, nutritionists, everyone's an expert, and it's just exploded here in this country. Gyms everywhere, fitness everywhere. And basically, not boasting, but it was me who brought it all here and started it all.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I want to, let's drill down. Let's drill
Okay.
down. What is the knowledge that you were brought to Malta? What is your perspective then on health and wellness and moving into mental health, and how you have encouraged to say for people to really sort that side of their lives out. What has been your USP?
It's a long story, to be honest with you. Well, let's deal with the first part. Like health and wellness to me, for the most part, people will think health and wellness is weight loss. The industry has been selling weight loss for decades.
Mm.
I grew up as a kid watching people eat grapefruit and Special K to watch their weight. In reality, weight is irrelevant. I used to weigh 100 and almost 30 kilos, which is almost 280 pounds. As a competitive bodybuilder, you didn't see my stomach pushing the table out in front of me, and you never would have saw me as obese. You would have saw me as muscular, but the scale wouldn't have known a difference. So the scale doesn't know. It says a weight, and of course, everyone is into weight watching, and this, of course, bypasses the mentality of everything. It puts people into a state of anxiety and depression if they see numbers going up and down, and that just usually means that they don't understand what it is that they're looking at. And so inevitably, the idea of health and wellness is about the mind and where you are as an individual, how sound you are, how confident you are, your self-esteem, your understanding of your limitations or thereof, and or the lack thereof. And I saw people here who just didn't have an understanding of how to eat right, how to take care of themselves. They didn't put any emphasis on, their mindset. People talk bad about themselves, poorly about themselves. They're negative. Everything is a waste of time. And then, of course, for those people who might have some sort of inclination to lose the weight from things that they've seen on TV or whatever they've read or Googled or whatever the case is, they do everything so backwards that inevitably they just are signing up into a system that just keeps pulling money out of them like they're ATM machines. And they spend their life in a vicious cycle of trying to lose weight, lose a bit, gain it back, lose a weight, gain it back, this fad, that fad, sold everything. And ultimately, in the very end, very jaded. And usually, if not all, they're way more heavier than when they first started. They're way more unhealthy when they first started. They're way more dealing with issues of depression and anxiety, low self-esteem because they physically have completely lost themselves, and they give up. And this is the destruction of a human being, and it's the empowerment of the industry that sort of provides this, which is the pharmaceutical corporations. They are the ones who sort of funnel this kind of stuff because there's just so much money to be made out of people's sicknesses and issues. So health and wellness is not about losing weight. It's about having a positive understanding of yourself, the image that you see in the mirror, having your internal self being as strong, as vibrant, as healthy as it possibly can be. And then when you live that lifestyle where you care about yourself, you have self-respect, you do things that you treat yourself like you would treat your children, with love and respect and value. When you do that, inevitably, the byproduct is just a physical self that you would be proud of because you take care of one, the other one takes care of you. So that's sort of how it all, that's the mantra behind it all. That's the knowledge behind it all. It's just whether or not you can get people to understand that.
You touched on the subject that's quite important to me. Pharmaceutical. You said about an industry that is pushing people in a certain direction, a certain way of life. You then talked about, the way people look at weight loss is going up and down, all the rest. What is your view then, expounding that on the pharmaceutical industry? What has caused you, sorry if it seems a bit of a silly question, but what has caused you to come to that conclusion? Of course, it would be what you've witnessed, but the fact that it is this industry that is pushing a lot of harm. What are your conclusions on that?
Well, first and foremost, as I said, it's a money industry. It incorporates everything, you have to look at it like human beings are like cattle being corralled into this path. And this path leads to every service industry that is there to, provide an answer to your questions, which you have no answers to. And all of them lead you down this road that inevitably leads to the biggest hotel in every country, which is a hospital, a hotel with 5,000 rooms that you got to wait 9 hours to get into. There's so much money being generated on all the illnesses and the sicknesses. I mean, if you just consider the fact that heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and cancer are the top 4 killers of the world, not a country, of the world. So how is that possible? I mean, if the pharmaceutical corporations, who are the founders, let's say, of education that goes into the universities that are there to teach the children who want to be doctors and nutritionists, if what they're saying is correct, then every doctor that walks out of there and every nutritionist that walks out of there are in a position to empower people that come to see them to heal them. Okay, so if that's the case, then why is it that, in our country, 74% are obese? I mean, this is a worldwide epidemic. So why? There's something missing. The common sense of it is missing. It's not that people don't want to be better. It's not that they don't want to be healthy. It's that they're being, in my opinion, educated with a lie. And I'm not even saying it's the doctors, let's say, for example, who are lying, because they're being taught themselves the same understanding. They believe this is how it is. And, the information is coming from the top. There's no money in being healthy. There's no money in wellness. I mean, let's say, for example, I want to get healthy. Let's say, for example, as an institution, pharmaceutical corporations or the health industry wants us to be healthy, then why wouldn't chicken salad at a restaurant be €4 and a Big Mac be €20? Why is it the other way around, where all the garbage food is the cheapest that you can get, and all the healthy foods like chicken, where you can raise 60,000 chickens in a barn, is like 10 kilos or €10 a kilo? Like it's ridiculous. It's because they don't want people being healthy, because if you're healthy and you take care of yourself and you have that knowledge and that value about yourself, not only are you a better citizen, not are you more aware of what's going on around you with all things political, religious, and everything, because you're more in tune. This is a problem. We want people dumbed down, so ignorant, not unaware. And how we do that is by providing into a system a bunch of things that make it easy for people to get hooked, addicted, and then ultimately makes them obese, sick, lazy, feeling entitled. I mean, I can go on and on and on. So it's very covert how they do it. It's very covert. It's not like they're coming out and saying, "Hey, listen, we're the biggest institution in the world, and we're providing this, and we want you to sign up and spend your money with us like there's no tomorrow." They don't do it like that. It's just everything we try to do, that is, if we want to get healthy and we're living that kind of a lifestyle, you start noticing even the people that are getting healthier are getting issues now with asthma and digestive issues and what have you. And is it because of the bioengineered food? Is it because of the chemtrails in the sky? Is it because of the poor water? I mean, is it true that the healthier we become, or the more that we want to be healthier, there's more issues being imploded into our lifestyle to make us unwell? That's what I see. I mean, I have been in business for 38 years. I have watched people who have done absolutely everything from 16 years old, when they have no confidence and low self-esteem, and there's peer pressure to be a certain way, and they go on a diet, and then they fall off, and they go on and they do this for year after year, and 1,000 different diets, 14,000 diets in the market, every kind of contraption, pill, intervention, surgical intervention, everything known to man. And yet people are still now, as they age 40 years older, 10 times worse than they ever were before. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And there's a lack of education, there's a lack of understanding, and there is a plethora of crap that is there to completely confuse the mind as to not know what to do. So when somebody is standing up and saying, "Hey, listen, wake up. Can't you see what's going on?" You get lost, in the shuffle. It's like you're one blade of grass in a field, like no one hears you, because you're preaching you're preaching an idea that is going against the grain of everyone, because everyone is preaching, lose 10 kilos in 10 days. You can do this, you can do that, you can inject, you can fill up, you can do that. It's, so my view on it, the industry itself is I don't have a lot of faith in it. As a matter of fact, I don't have any faith in it, and I don't have any faith in anyone coming out who really even promotes authenticity or ethics, because that has become one of the most common sales approach now as well. Hey, we're authentic. Hey, we really care about you. Yeah, of course. And what do you want to do about that? Well, we want to fly you to Turkey, and we want to put a gastric sleeve in there because we care about your future. No, you don't. You don't care about my future whatsoever. You just see me as an ATM machine. You want to manipulate my mind. You want to push the buttons, and you want to see me spit money out. That's all.
I don't think I could say it any better than you have just done, because you're then saying we've got this body, we have this God-given immunity. It's our body. So moving from there, and this is your area, I can only, in one sense, only refer to myself, who enjoys swimming, who goes swimming a lot. And I'm not saying I've got a handle on my diet at times, but I have seen such an improvement for me. John, mental health, over the last few years, we've seen such an attack on our mental health, and I think I'm getting in line with the fact that in many ways is where we need to start. John, so what is your full approach to this? Say if I was one of your clients, someone else, one of your clients, what is your first approach to this? What do you do when you're meeting a new client?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. The first thing I do, all right, is I will do what we call a consultation. I charge for the consultation, and the reason why I charge is simply this: if someone is willing to pay for a consultation, it shows that they're serious and they're more than willing, or seems willing, to do what it takes to actually change their life. I mean, if I wanted to become a doctor and I'd have to spend 100,000 euros or dollars in university to become one, it tells you that I'm serious. So I have a consultation, and that consultation is really a meeting where I start to learn about who I am sitting in front of, what their desires are, what their needs are, what their character is like, what their past failures are, what their home life is like, the kind of support that they have, the kind of encouragement they have, the history they've had when it comes to their body, the self-esteem that I see, the confidence that coming out of these people. I want to understand who they are, and to be able to determine whether or not they are in a position at this time to put attention to what is most important in their life, and that's themselves. Because most people that I meet, and the high percentage are women, tend to put themselves last in the totem pole when it comes to self. They kids first, husband first, parents first, everyone else first, them last. And of course, by doing that, there's going to be a reckoning one day. They're going to wake up, look in the mirror at 40 years old and say, oh my God, who am I? What has happened to me? But by that time, they're a little bit afraid of sort of looking at themselves and saying, I need to take care of me, because they see it as being selfish. So that's something that's been kind of taught to them as well. So in this consultation, I get an understanding of all of those things. Then I want to provide them the importance and the understanding of what it takes to actually change a life. And to change a life is not about going to the gym, and it's not about eating right, because it doesn't start there. You have to have commitment, focus, determination. You have to have the mindset. I mean, if you want to marry somebody, it's a very simple procedure. You stand in front of some guy in a cloak, and he looks at him and he says, "You want her?" Uh-huh. He looks at her. You want him? Yeah. Okay. So it's simple, but living with that person for the rest of your life is not simple at all. It's not easy either. It's work. It takes effort. It takes communication. It takes, sacrifice. So usually you would hope that when people are going to make that decision, that they're mentally sound. You can sometimes argue that these days, maybe not so much, because a lot of marriages are ending in divorce. When it comes to the most powerful thing in your life, which is you need to be ready to make the decision that I need to be the best that I possibly can be if I'm ever going to teach my child about confidence, self-esteem, how to live, not by what I say, but by what I do. Because kids don't listen to you. They watch you. So you may say, oh, yes, you're beautiful, you're great, you're this, you're that. Meanwhile, you're sitting there complaining about yourself and saying, I'm so fat, I'm ugly, I'm no good. They don't hear none of the things you said to them. They hear hypocrite in their own head. They don't understand it, but they become like you. So that is the most important, that they understand that what they're going to sign up for is this transformation of the mind, because that is what it's really all about. And not to come here and say, I want to lose weight, because I don't care about weight, because weight never killed anybody. What kills people is the kind of weight we're talking about. So as I said to you, at one point I was 128 kilos, but at 12% body fat. So it's the fat that causes the issues. It's the fat that clogs the heart. It's the fat that damages the immune system. It's not the weight. If the weight is muscle, it's like a turbocharged engine. So we need to get them to understand these things, and that they're here to change that. And then, obviously, we have to provide them the understanding that every single person is unique. And reading books and going on Google and talking to your friend is in no way going to help you, because those people aren't you. Everyone has a unique fingerprint, and everyone has a unique way of living, a whole different setup than everybody else. So for a person to become successful, to actually see themselves transform, has to understand that there's a difference about them, and you have to facilitate the difference, provide the tools to help them. And then, of course, you have to show them that path. And we do that. And, obviously from then on, we will do like evaluations and things of that nature to evaluate who they are specifically. And then it's a simple principle. You need to know where you are, and you need to know where you want to go. And then if you have the path between where you are and where you want to go, 100% unequivocally, you will be successful if only you follow. And this is the key to the whole thing. And most people do not understand that at all. They're walking around in this life guessing, doing this as a guess, doing this as a guess. They don't know where they are. They know nothing about themselves. All they know is what they want to look like. So it's like, I know where I want to go, have no idea where I am, and then I expect I'm going to get there. It's impossible. And so that is what we do when we sit down in that meeting. And there's a relatability, there's a connection, relatability. They need to understand that I'm not here to sell them something. I'm here to empower them, to educate them, to show them the way, and that I cannot do it for them, that they must pick up the torch and walk that path. But I will show them that path based specifically on them, their desires, and their body's requirements. So, I mean, it's what's missing. I say one last thing. The world deals with people, especially when it comes to health, in generalities. What do you mean generalities? Who's general? We don't all have the same money. We don't have the same home loans. We don't have the same upbringing. We don't have the same anything. We don't have the same desires. How can you generalize people? And especially when it comes to something so prevalent as health, you need to isolate and understand it. I mean, it's like going to the doctor and he says, okay, well, I think you have a brain tumor, and this is what we generally do for people, and that's it. Well, you're going to kill 99% of the people that you work on, because it's not general.
So in that consultation, then, how long is a normal consult? I know this is the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Because everyone is unique, as you have quite rightly said.
Yeah.
So on average, how long would those consultations be?
Well, I always say, not to scare them off, I say anywhere between an hour to 90 minutes. So this, I don't want to overwhelm people and have them feel like they're getting into something super, super heavy. But I can tell you there have been people who've walked out of here after 3 hours. And most that come in here walk out crying, because they haven't been seen like that before. So they haven't been in front of someone who sees them, understands them, explains things to them in a way that makes them understand it. Common sense goes a long way. And unfortunately, everything that is, being promoted these days doesn't even make any sense. And, people know in the back of their minds that some of these things that they're hearing to do, it doesn't make sense, but they're so desperate. And when you're desperate, you're willing to just do anything, So yeah, around 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, and it depends on the person. And, as I said, when people leave, they leave educated. And at that point in time, people have said to me for years, wow, John, you're such a great salesman. I go, salesman? I take offense to that. I say, I'm not a salesman. I'm a person who is providing an opportunity for people to learn and to make more aware and educated decisions. Should somebody then say to me, listen, I want this and I need support and I need help and I need a partner, because that's what I become, a partner. I'm not just a person that I'm there for you. Probably more for you than you are for yourself, because I, in my own intrinsic reasons, I need you to succeed, because that makes me feel good when I see people change, when I know they have the power to change and I can see that happen. If they don't change with me, what am I doing wrong? So it's not all my fault. I know that the responsibility is on them, but I take it very personal. So yeah, it's a big moment, this consultation. It's different, and it's a language that people are not listening to. They're not hearing it. People aren't speaking this language, and they haven't for the 38 years I've been doing it. They still don't to this very day. They still don't. Someone might go to somebody else, and the person who's talking to them doesn't ask them any questions about their life, their family, their relationship. It's like, why would you even ask me that? Well, what do you mean? Why would I ask you that? If you have a husband at home who is fearful of you being a confident woman, he's going to hold you back. That makes a difference on your success, because if you have no support around you, how can you be successful? I want to know all of these things so that I can arm these women or men to be aware of some of the subtleties that come around them, where their friends are going, oh, come on, you can eat this or you can do that. And what are you doing? Jealousy, envy, all these things are a factor, and those things hold people back. So you need to arm somebody, cloak them with this armor, so that if you're going to stand up and say, hey, listen, I really want to change, then you're best be prepared to do that. And these are the tools that you're going to need. And I'm going to be here to support you. And here's the skill sets you need to follow. And here's the path that I'm laying out for you. All you need to do is wake up every single day, follow the steps that are in front of you without even questioning. You just have to say once, I want it. And from then on, every day, just do it.
I'm actually sitting here thinking that it takes someone a lot of courage to then phone you up and go, I want a consultation. Not because of who you are, because it's amazing what you are saying. I fully agree with it. It actually says that if they step over that threshold, they want, how much do they really want this? To actually then sit down with you when you warn them and say a consultation, maybe 90 minutes, 2.5 hours, then people are then walking out of there, sometimes in tears, not because of what you said. It is because of what you've said, not in a nasty way. It's because suddenly they're sitting in front of someone going, oh my goodness me, you've said this, you are helping me. You want to give me the tools to help myself, which is rather interesting, because we end up going down the road of critical thinking, as you've said, dumbing down. It's breaking down what empowerment means, not in this mumbo jumbo, but I come back to that. It takes a lot of courage. People then want to make that change.
I will make a slight adjustment to that. It doesn't really take a lot of courage to ask me what I'm going to do about the consultation. And it doesn't take a lot of courage to come to the consultation. It takes a lot of courage that after their awakening, that they take the next step and move forward. Because a lot of people do a lot of things without ever thinking about it. Oh, June, what did you do? Oh, well, I went on the water and the cayenne pepper and the syrup diet, and I lost 30 kilos. Oh, wow, I'm going to do that. And they don't even think about it. They don't think of the consequences or nothing. So they have no problem in jumping feet first into things when they see someone else saying, yeah, it worked for me, obviously there's no logic behind that, maneuver. When they come here, they have no problem coming here first. But then when I look into their eyes and I tell them, this is what we are going to do. This is what you're asking. You need to be aware of what you're asking, because I know before you walked in here, you think I am just another entity, organization, another person that you've met in the last 30 years of attempts. So you're just looking at me just like somebody else. Jump from this, jump from this, jump from this, and I'm just another one. But once you come here, I will fully make you aware that this game has to stop. Einstein said it best. Insanity is those doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If you want to stop the insanity, it's going to happen here. If you want to change, as I said earlier, you say, I want it once. That's it. Because words like, oh, I wish, or I hope. Yeah, well, I hope too. I'm going to sit on my chair because I hope 10 million euros is going to fly through my window in a briefcase. And as I sit there for the next 50 years hoping, it's never going to happen. So forget the hoping and the wishing. You've been given a life that, for whatever reason, God willing, you have choices to make. You've been given this life, either do something with it or sit there and procrastinate and complain and bitch and say all the excuses of why you can't do it, or give me a reason why you can't. And I'm going to give you the reason. Now, all you need to do from here on out is just walk forward. Stop asking questions. Don't wake up in the morning tired and go, oh, I'm so tired. Should I get up and go for a walk? Don't ask the question, because as a human being, you're already built in with a flaw, which is that you want to take the path of least resistance. So you're not going to get up. You don't ask the question. If someone kidnaps your child and says to you, listen, we want 100,000 euros by next week, you don't think about it. You don't ask yourself a question. Oh my God, can I do this? Should I do this? You go do whatever you need to do to get it done. But when it comes to your own health, when it comes to your own vitality, your own strength, what makes you better, what makes you a better citizen, a better human, you start asking questions. I wonder if I should. Should I? I wonder. That's where it ends, right there. Because our whole society has been implanting into your head, it's hard, it's difficult, it doesn't work, it's not going to happen, there's easier ways. So you just don't do it.
And this is what is really, really intriguing me. If these consultations, because suddenly, as you've said, people come in and make assumptions, and then you are widening the circle and creating the circle and adding up all these dots. Yes. And what excites me, especially if you are then enabling people to start taking that responsibility for themselves, being critical thinking, and saying, yeah, absolutely, I have a vision, I have this dream, I want to do this, I want to go for it, I want to make this happen. And then someone coming along and saying, well, that's why you're here in front of me, because I'm going to help you do that.
And what's really interesting, Mark, is this, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, I'm just going to say it as people would say it. People aren't as stupid as they're being made to feel that they are.
Yeah.
So when you speak a language to someone that is truth, it's funny how truth hits a nerve that no matter what you've heard all your life, in your head it's right. As I told you, when someone says to you, well, you have some water and cayenne pepper and maple syrup, your mind says, there's a part of you deep down inside that's, I don't think so, but I'm desperate. But when someone speaks the truth, as I do in that consultation, it opens up your mind to hear things like, yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Why don't I ever hear that? Why have we never heard that? Hey, I'm angry. I've spent 30 years of my life doing all this other expletive and nothing's worked. Why am I not hearing this? And I'll give you, it's a simple answer. I'll give it to you in an analogy so that it makes your listeners understand it easy. If you want to go from wherever you live to wherever you want to go, let's say you want to go from the UK, Heathrow, and you want to go to California, and you got to land in at LAX. Well, you can't tell me where LAX is from where where you're sitting. You don't know the degree. You don't know the direction. I mean, you know it's out there, but you can't turn and go, oh, it's on that degree. It's 146 degrees from where I am. You have no idea. The only person who knows that degree is the pilot. And if the pilot does it right, 100% out of 100% of the time, you're going to land in LAX. So if people don't have a clue on what's really going on, if they aren't hearing what it really is for them, they have 360 degrees of which they can travel, and every single path they take is a guess. Yeah. So you're never going to get where you want to go because you have no idea, not only where you don't know where you are. So you don't know the path. And as you go down a certain path, you might see some things and some changes. Is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know. Should I stop now? Am I gone too far? I need to go further. No, people do not have an awareness or an understanding. And it's sad, but it's the formula to create money for those who want money from you. If you want to talk about principle and you want to talk about education, well, I don't know. I learned to drive a car at 16 years old. I never had to go back for a driving exam or had to learn to do it again because I got taught. So once you get taught, it's a lifelong thing. My mother taught me how to brush my teeth, and she did that for probably a couple of years because, like for the first time my teeth were breaking my gums, I had been 6 months old. So from 6 months to 2 years or 3 years, she's teaching me every day. And then she's telling me what to do. And then after a while, I'm doing it by habit. And then when I'm a teenager, I start to wake up and I start to become self-aware of myself, and I become aware of other people. And I go, oh my God, I don't want to have teeth like that. So now I start brushing my teeth, not because I've been doing it because I've been told to for 3 or 4 or 15 years, but because now I don't want to have teeth like that. And then when you're an adult in your 20s and you see your grandparents' teeth falling on the kitchen table, laughing at Christmas, you go, oh my God, I want my teeth in my mouth till the day I die. You've now learned about value. You see, but these things, we weren't born with toothbrushes in our body. It's not there. It's not meant to be there. It's something that we have learned. So we have been educated, and when we follow that educational principle, you have your teeth in your mouth and you still brush your teeth every day. And you're not waking up this morning and saying, okay, what do I got to do today? I got to check the mail, take the garbage out. There's one more thing I got to do. It's what is it? Oh yeah, I got to brush my teeth. It's so much a part of you. Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, going out and playing was a part of me. And being active was a part of me, and doing all those things was a part of me because that's what I like to do. And then somewhere along the line with people, they got busy with work and school and business and kids and this and that. And they forgot how to be kids, and they forgot what it was like to be a kid. Be active, eat. You could eat what you want as long as you're active, and God, you're healthy. But today, it's this, it's the phone, that's the activity. It's no one's encouraging you to go out and do stuff anymore. They're encouraging you to stay in, to look at this, to get wired in, and then to eat whatever you want. That's fast food. Listen, I go on tangents because it really upsets me because I have children too. And I can tell you right now, I would not feel safe in the hands of my children taking care of me. So that generation, because they don't want to take care of themselves. So how are they going to take care of their parents when the parents need the help? They won't know what to do. And that's a problem. And there's a bunch of kids growing up right now that have no concept of health or wellness or anything unless it gets them influence, unless it makes them money on TikTok, unless having a better body will get them more money on OnlyFans. Then they'll train, but not for health, but for influence and money.
You're not going off in you're not going off in tangents. You're speaking truth, because it is a whole circle and a circle of effects. And when you were saying before we started the record is, you were brought up in Canada. Canada is the second biggest landmass in the world. Russia, Canada, and then America. Maybe Americans like to think that they're bigger than Canada. It's not. And the fact that, from the west coast to the east coast of Canada is quite a journey of a number of days. It's vast. And then we think of also in America, when people are going west, pioneers, achieving things, the same in Canada. the achievement, pushing back against the weather. No wonder that most of Canadians live within 100 miles of the American border. I'm not saying this for the sake. Is look at the achievements that people did, the risks that they took, and pushing back and all the rest, which is what you were saying about, going out in Canada. We were playing outside, riding bikes, swinging ropes from trees and making swings and doing all of this stuff. And you're right, it's now down to the telephone. That's the activity, down to the video games. And of course, you and I as parents, and we're roughly, we're near the same age, and the criticism that our children may say, well, things have moved on, Dad. Yes, but for the negative thing.
Yeah.
John, we've just got about another 15 minutes, and I do not want to miss out on getting you to say about the future upcoming webinar. But I would like to ask you this question, if you could answer it, in a few minutes. Which is difficult, because I think we're going to have to revisit this. And I am absolutely overjoyed to hear your mindset, your approach. I love it. And I'm turning around and going, how did you reach that? How did you reach your worldview of, when you're saying about pharmaceutical health and everything? How did you reach that?
Yeah, you're right. This is a big question, because it has a lot to do with my upbringing. And to see how they collaborate together or make sense, it might be a little bit difficult for people. I'll try to do it in a little bit of a nutshell, but it is a big story. So I grew up, I grew up not with my parents. I grew up in 24 different foster homes growing up as a kid. I was on my own at 15 years old, end of 14, 15 years old. I was abused as a kid, physically, mentally, sexually. I had every kind of crap that come down on me. I had contemplated suicide by the time of 12. I used to hope that people would come into the foster home I was living in, murder them all, and I'd just go, please take me with you. Like was my mindset. But, like, as I said, there was a lot of suicidal thoughts and tendencies. But the only thing that kept me sane through it all was sports, was playing sports, was pushing myself to levels of, to feel like, because no one was going to be proud of me, I wanted to find something good about myself. So I excelled in sports. I played everything from 5 years old up. And I noticed that, I noticed that with my sports, I started feeling better. It didn't stop the abuse. So then bodybuilding sort of entered my psyche, because when I saw a bodybuilder, I said, oh my God, if I could only be that big, no one would ever touch me again. So my whole momentum then shifted. I started training at 12, and I started to lift because I wanted to get bigger. And as I was training, it was hard, like doing curls, with X amount of weight, 20 reps, it hurt, it burned. And where some people see that and go, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. I said, I don't care. It hurt me more to not be like this. I was hurt more in my life in all other ways. I was going to take this pain, and I learned to push myself through the pain. And I learned that as I started to train, I gained more confidence in myself, because I could see numbers changing. I could see my body changing. I could see that I was able to take pain that I wouldn't be able to take before. And so I started to develop what you would call a character building experience through the gym, because the gym is just a bunch of inanimate objects that are there to do nothing but hurt you if you don't use them right. It's like a library. It's full of books, but if you don't apply yourself, you'll never get no knowledge. And if you apply yourself, you walk out a genius. So in the gym, I became a genius in self-preservation, focus. I could take pain. I could push myself beyond the limits, what other people couldn't do. And I said to myself, oh my God, like I'm changing. Like, I don't want to die. I want to live. Not only do I want to live, I want other people to see the experience, what I'm seeing, that I don't give a expletive. I don't care what bad stuff has happened to you. if you start to look at yourself and empower yourself and see yourself through that, the gifts on the other side of it, the adversity is immense. And I wanted to share that with everyone. So I got involved in personal training in 1986, and I started sharing these stories with clients. And I was hearing clients who were doing gastric bypass at that time, who were doing these crazy diets and so on and so forth. I was going to school to learn about these things and listening to what they were preaching in school and saying, hey, this doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't make sense. I've been living it my life already. And I know that eating this way doesn't work. And I know that following this philosophy doesn't work. And I'm in the field and I'm watching people going through what I share with them, my belief system, and the power of believing in yourself, and the power that if you believe so much that it will come to fruition, and I started to see everything in a different light. And so it's like I had an epiphany, and then everything just became very clear to me. I realized at that time that the power that I was able to find in myself, everyone has it. We're swimming in a pool of positivity. We have all the tools around us to be absolutely fantastically great human beings. But everything in our society is trying to suck that away from us or blind us from it. And I, unfortunately, because of the disastrous upbringing I was brought up in, I had those blinders taken off already. I was already finished. I had nowhere to go but up. And so that is what empowered me. And that's empowerment I wanted to empower other people with. And that made me realize that all of society is cloaked with this manipulation. You're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. We can prove it to you. Look at this magazine. You see her. You don't look like that. Yeah, but you airbrushed that. Yeah, but you've altered that. Yeah, but that's not the point. Everything is altered so that you don't feel good enough, that you'll never be good enough. But when you get to the lowest point of your life, don't look within yourself, because you don't have the power. You need to look outside of yourself. There's always going to be a savior for you. It's the guy at the corner. It's the drug dealer over here. It's the pharmacist over here. It's a doctor over here. It's a psychotherapist over here. Everyone else has your answers except you. But that's not the truth. The truth is within yourself. And instead of looking outside of yourself, you need to start looking within yourself. That is how I got to this point. And call it a gift of God, discernment. I don't care what you want to call it. I'm here by the grace of God. My power, my strength. I was born with the ability to make choices. I made the choices I made, and my choice is to share, to get this information out, to take it to the highest level. And I'll tell you, I reach adversity in that all the time, because the more I want this to get higher and higher and higher, it's like somebody's trying to put me down, because they don't want this news out. They don't want people hearing this. They don't want to wake people up. They want people sleeping. They want people failing. They want people looking at themselves saying that they're no good. And anyway, I'm going off. You understand the point. So that's how I got to where I am. That's how I saw all of these things. I know I won't say I'm right, because that would be pretentious. But I have a very strong suspicion with what I've seen and the experiences that I've watched. Anyone who's ever followed my principles, the success rate of those is 100%. Period. If you get on a plane and if you get on the plane at Heathrow and you want to go to LAX, I guarantee you, unless there's a diversion, the success rate is 100%. It's exactly that. I know that. And I know that if it's not 100%, it's because the industry itself is sidetracking everyone to be looking in different directions. It's not what I'm preaching. It's what they're preaching. Therefore, what they're preaching is garbage. And the masses are buying into garbage. And the masses are giving up. They're getting weaker. They're becoming desperate. And they're just becoming, okay, just whatever. Do whatever. Oh, I give up.
I'm so glad I asked that question, because it is inspiring. I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but it is inspiring, and it is really warming me, and it's making me absolutely smile, because yes, you are absolutely right. And thank you for sharing that, and thank you. We need to have a conversation, because I want to know more about that, because overcoming adversity is huge. is absolutely huge, and it also encourages other people. We've got a couple of minutes, and John, it's been an utter delight to sit down and have this conversation, and we haven't even got to the most important
Sorry, I
bit.
talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No. But people are getting to know you. Your webinar. People need to know who the person is who's putting this on, and they're finding this out. So when is your webinar happening?
October. Oh, yeah.
Go.
October 21st and October 26th.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to bring it back to Canada. Because I would like people in Canada to get back onto this system. So October 21st and 26th. It's a sign up. It's a registration. You just have to go to my website and register.
What is your website? Could you give out your website?
Yeah, johnschwirib.com. Okay, and then you just have to look under the events section, and then at the events, it'll show you the 2 dates. And once you RSVP, you'll get information as to a link and so on and so forth. And basically, I will be doing what you and I are doing right now. I will be sharing, obviously, without questions, what this is all about, and trying to essentially wake people up and get them inspired to just, maximize the potential in their life, and to forego all the things that are being pushed at them these days, and make good decisions.
Brilliant. Well, what I'd just before you end, I'll just say this, that pass all that information to me. I'll make sure that it's in the description, because that's really, really important. John, I feel as though I've had the wonderful sort of personal consultation myself, which is to sit down and have a fantastic conversation with you. I get excited about people's journeys. It's a bit like, I suppose the illustration is, we have that television series, not so much now, but I remember when it started, which is Strictly Come Dancing. It's gone around the world, and you see someone who doesn't know how to dance, and then suddenly they've won the cup after 25, 26 weeks, and you see their journey. I'm excited about hearing about people's journey. When I'm in a position, when friends of mine write books, they send you that. What do you think of this? It's creativity. I'm excited by that. So I just commend you. If I was in the same room with you, I just massive high five to you with that. So thank you, John. I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna play us out. Don't leave me yet. Say goodbye on the other side, and we'll just wait for this to upload. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you. I just hope that you are as inspired as I am. And I will make sure that all John's descriptions and everything and how to reach him, it will be in the description below. John, thank you so much for joining me. You've just cheered up my day, the rest of my day. But that's important. We all need encouragement. It's how we seek that out. And there are many people. There are, as they say, there are many. There's a lot of talent in the world. There's a lot of talented people that have sadly died and not fulfilled their full potential. So thank you for being someone who is really wants to kick various people up the backside nicely to actually create their potential. John, thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.